Have you ever landed on a website and just thought, wow, this looks so clean, so professional? And then, you click over to another one and it just feels messy? Well, what's the secret? What's that invisible thing that separates the polished from the chaotic? Today, we're going to uncover the hidden blueprint that powers pretty much every great design you've ever seen.
Okay, so take a look at these two layouts right here. On the left, things are all over the place. Your eye just kind of jumps around, and it creates this feeling of, well, confusion. But on the right, everything has its place. It's organized, it's clear, and it just feels right. It feels professional. The difference is night and day, right?
So how do designers pull off that perfectly organized look time and time again? Is it some kind of magic, a rare talent they're born with? Or is there a specific tool they're all using that most of us never even get to see? What is that secret ingredient?
Well, the answer isn't some mystical design superpower. Nope, it's a simple but really powerful tool that provides the foundation for every single clean, professional layout you've ever admired.
This secret is the grid system. Think of it like the invisible skeleton holding everything up, or maybe an architect's blueprint for a web page. It's this underlying structure of columns and lines that you, the user, never actually see. But it's what guides a designer in placing every single element, from the text to the images, with perfect, pixel-perfect alignment.
So why even bother with a grid? Well, it's not just about making things look tidy. A good grid arranges all the information logically, which makes it way easier for our brains to process what we're seeing. It makes the important stuff pop, and it gives the whole design what we call a safe zone, a balanced, uncluttered feel that's just so much more pleasant to look at.
All right, so to really use this blueprint, we first have to understand its basic parts. And honestly, it's pretty simple once you see it all broken down. So let's dive into the anatomy of a grid.
So, the main building blocks are the columns. These are the fundamental vertical containers that create the backbone of your layout. Every piece of content you see, whether it's a block of text or a photo, it's going to live inside one of these columns. They are the absolute pillars of the entire structure.
Now, in between those columns, you have the gutters. This is just the empty space, but let me tell you, it is absolutely critical. Gutters are what give your content breathing room. They stop a headline from crashing right into a picture, and they make sure everything is legible and distinct. That space is what creates clarity.
And finally, you've got the margins. This is the empty space all the way around the outer edges of the entire page. You can think of it like the frame around a painting. It creates that safe zone we were talking about, keeping your design from feeling all cramped and pushed up against the edges of the screen.
Okay, so now we know what a grid is made of, but just like a builder needs a different blueprint for a skyscraper than they do for a tiny house, designers need different types of grids for different kinds of jobs.
There are really 5 main types of grid systems that you'll run into out there, and each one is specifically tailored for a certain kind of content, from a really simple blog post to a super complex news website.
First up is the manuscript grid, and it's the simplest of them all. It's basically one giant column. You see this all the time when you're reading a long article or a chapter in an ebook. Its only job is to present a single block of text in a way that's comfortable and super readable. Then you've got the column grid. And this is the undisputed workhorse of the web. It divides the page into a bunch of vertical columns, which is perfect for organizing all sorts of different content side by side. I'd bet almost every single website you visit uses some version of this grid.
Now this one's a little more subtle, but it is so powerful. A baseline grid is basically a set of invisible horizontal lines. It makes sure that all of your text, no matter what size it is or which column it's in, sits perfectly on the same line. You might not consciously notice it, but it creates this beautiful, clean rhythm that makes the whole page feel incredibly orderly.
A modular grid takes the column grid and adds horizontal rows to it. What you end up with is a matrix of little cells, or modules. This is perfect for when you need really tight organization. Think about browsing products on an e-commerce site or scrolling through a photo gallery. Each little item gets its own neat box.
And finally, we have the hierarchical grid. Now this one kind of breaks the rules a little bit. Instead of being perfectly symmetrical, the grid itself is shaped by how important the content is. Think about a news homepage, right? The main headline gets a huge space, while the smaller stories get tinier spots. The grid itself is telling your eye what matters most.
Okay, so theory is great and all, but how does this actually apply in the real world? Where we're looking at things on our phones, our tablets, and these giant desktop screens. Well, this is where grids become an absolute game changer for what we call responsive design. This table shows a really common way of doing it. For a small mobile screen, a designer might use a simple 4-column grid. Bump that up to a tablet, and it can expand to 8 columns. And for a wide desktop screen, the industry standard is 12 columns. The key thing here is that the grid adapts, making sure the layout looks amazing and is easy to use no matter what device you're on.
But hang on a second. Did you catch that number for desktops? 12. That number is not random at all. There is a very, very specific reason why a 12-column grid has become the undisputed king of web design.
So why 12? Why not 10 or 15 or 20? What is so special about the number 12 that it's become the default blueprint for literally millions of websites?
And here's the magic. The power of 12 is all about its incredible flexibility. Check this out. It can be divided evenly by 2, 3, 4, and 6. That means a designer can easily create layouts with 2 equal columns, or 3, or 4, or 6, all without any weird fractions or complicated math. This versatility is an absolute dream, and it also makes it so much simpler for developers to write clean, simple code. It just works.
So here's the most important takeaway. A grid isn't a cage that restricts your design. It's the solid foundation that gives you the freedom to build with confidence. By taking care of the structure, it liberates you to focus on the truly creative stuff. So the next time you see a beautifully clean design, you'll know the invisible secret that's holding it all together. The only question left is, what are you going to build with it?